Hello everybody, thanks for joining tonight, the 24th Berlin Real Estate Talk. Today our topic are co-investments, setting up companies and buying properties here in Germany. Our expert today is the lawyer Mr. Simon Shermony. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the invitation.
Mr. Simon Shermony, thanks again for spending so much time with us on a Tuesday evening here in Berlin. I think we should start straight away with your presentation regarding co-investments. And what is a co-investment in Germany and how you set up a company here in Germany, how that works?
Yes, co-investments is a possibility for one or more, or two or more investors to work together to find new properties and invest in these properties. It's a possibility to invest even by increasing prices because more capital is in the background. The cooperation can be clearly regulated. We will use a GmbH to do so. And this kind of cooperation as a GmbH allows different types of investment strategies. So it's not just saying this is how it is, and we have different possibilities in this situation. Yes. Benefits is, of course, one benefit is there's more capital in the GmbH because you're not alone. You are working together with a few other investors, so the broad portfolio is possible and easier. The risk can be reduced because it's not only the risks are not only with one person. The amount of investments are higher, of course, and more variable. So it's maybe you can find different kind of properties or investment possibilities, and the administrative costs and the efforts are lower, of course, because you're not alone. You are different other shareholders as well. A GmbH is limited based on German law. So it will be, you have a contract between the shareholders and the entire relationship between these shareholders will be regulated in this contract. The contract is not in stone, so it can be changed, of course, if there is coming new investors or if one investor wants to sell properties or wants to sell the shares. That's all possible. And you have every shareholder has the same rights, the same obligations. So it's completely regulated in this contract. The shareholders will have an annual meeting. Normally it's an annual meeting. Of course, you can make a shareholder meeting whenever it's necessary. In these shareholder meetings, you will make the main decisions. You will decide if you want to sell a property or if you want to invest in new properties. The shareholders will select the CEO. The CEO can be one of the shareholders, or you can find a third person who takes care of the daily business. The CEO takes care of the daily work and will find new projects and new objects and present them to the shareholders. But of course, the shareholders will make the final decision if they want to invest or not. We can regulate the relationship based on the personal situation of each shareholder. So that's not that we have one rate. We can take everyone into account. We will, of course, also look at the personal tax issues and see if there's anything necessary to take into account there. We can discuss exit strategies already at the beginning and take them into the contract between the shareholders. And for every shareholder, it's clear that we have German law and we will have German arbitration. So that's for everyone the same situation. What we can offer is we have a broad network, so we are working together with different real estate agents, with tax advisor. We can offer you an around service. We can offer you the address. We will take care of the entire communication so that you can focus on your investment and not on the daily work.
Thank you, Mr. Shermony. For this time, I just maybe for all these English listeners today or participants tonight, it's Mr. Shermony is now having his law office in Berlin since 2012. He's not doing this since yesterday, and you are specialized in international investors since 2013,
yes,
right? So what you do is also part of not only setting up companies, you also help people to purchase, because many of you don't know how to buy property in Germany, because it's a legal contract, which is very thick in German, and you need to be present in person in front of a German notary to purchase a property. And that's maybe, it's also a big part of your job, right?
Well, it's the main part of the job. Even if it's a GmbH, they need to understand the contract, they need to understand their obligations and their rights. So we will always focus on the legal advice, making sure that every investor knows what he is doing. So we will validate the contract at the beginning, we will discuss it with a client, we will send out executive summaries, and explain to him the legal process of purchasing a property in Germany.
And we have a couple of questions from our clients who have sent us questions before. So if you have detailed questions, please do not hesitate to contact us here in the chat. We're going to respond to them, of course. And if you have questions after the webinar, you can either watch the webinar again on YouTube or contact the law office of Mr. Simon Shamoli. What is your website again? Can you please?
Kanzlei-Shamoli.de.
Yeah, perfect.
I think it's easier when you will read it later on the
yes.
black label property.
And there's of course a link on my website to the law office of Simon Shamoli. Yeah, so let's start with a couple of questions. So we have one of our first clients, they're asking, they already have purchased properties here in Berlin, Germany, and they want to have this 10-year time period. They want to wait the 10 years before they sell a property, which I think most of you might know already, which is tax-free. If you hold a property for more than 10 years and you sell it, you're not paying income tax here in Germany. That's at least the case at the moment. So when I buy a property via a so-called German GmbH, a limited company, what are my, why should I do this? Because I think I'm losing my 10-year time frame.
Yes, it's a completely different situation to a private person. The tax situation is different because you're not paying income tax as a GmbH, you're paying corporate tax. So, of course, you have a completely different situation. If you already have properties in Germany and thinking about transferring into the GmbH, then you always have to know or calculate that you have a transfer of ownership. So you have to pay the transfer tax once again, or the GmbH has to pay the transfer tax. So that's something you should calculate in detail and should know that, or should be aware of if it makes sense to do so.
Yeah. So the next question we're having, are there any differences in the interest rates when I buy through a company or on my own name?
No, there shouldn't be any difference. Depends on the bank, depends on the personal situation, on the GmbH situation, the shareholder situation, so there shouldn't be any big difference.
Yeah. Legally, also have explained in your presentation that when you buy properties via a GmbH, that there should be a minimum level of investment. Do you have any figures in mind that make sense?
Well, we always say that starting with 4 apartments or 4 objects, it makes sense to think about the GmbH, because then you have tax advantages where you have the more costs that the GmbH have. Of course it has, but due to the tax situation, it could be better for you.
Yeah. Why it could be better? Because of the income tax in the year? Or?
Yes, because as a GmbH, you're not paying the income tax, the yearly income tax, and if you are talking about foreign investors, you do not have any tax-free income in Germany, so you're paying tax starting with the first euro. And as a GmbH, you're paying always the 15%. And then you're not paying any business tax because you're holding assets. And of course, we are checking in this situation, if we have foreign investors, we are looking at the double taxation treatment, and we'll see if you have benefits due to the capital gain tax. Because normally it's 25%, but at double taxation treatment, it can be lower.
Okay, okay. So that's very interesting. I think for all these international investors here in Germany, when you set up a GmbH, you do have tax advantages. Of course, you know, you are working with different tax advisors. You are checking every single case. But there's a big advantage when you have a corporate company that you only pay 15% taxes here in Germany, because you are only paying the normal tax, not the additional tax, because you're not a trading company. A trading company pays, I think, around 30% taxes.
Yes.
Depends a little bit where you are based in Germany. And if you don't trade, if you just hold assets, you only pay 15% taxes on your rental income year on year. What happens when I sell the property in 10 years? How much tax do I pay then?
Well, it's the same situation. The GmbH selling the properties, and then if you have profits based on it, it will be calculated as a profit of the GmbH, and then later on, then it will be more complicated because then they will look at every single shareholder and their accounts, their GmbH accounts, and see what kind of tax advantages and tax situation there will be.
Okay.
So that's these 10 years tax-free holding. It's in the GmbH more complicated than as a private person. You cannot just say that's how it is and then done.
But technically speaking, I could sell the property even after 5 years. I have no reason to hold the property for 10 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when I sell it, then I just basically the company pays the 15% taxes, and then every shareholder pays his own income tax.
Well, no, you're paying capital gain tax when you take the money out of the GmbH.
Yeah.
So the shareholder or the GmbH pays 25% in Germany, 25% capital gain tax.
Yeah.
That's what you have to pay on your capital gain. That's when you take money out of the.
Okay.
Obviously, and then you can have advantage if you have a good double taxation treatment. Then you are paying less.
Less. Okay. So that's something you might want to check with Simon Sherman, especially when you want to buy more than 4 properties. Correct? Yeah. Another big advantage, I mean, we're having a lot of clients together, is that when people are grouping together, they have more equity. And when they have more equity, they get, of course, different properties. They can buy more than one property, and they have more leverage on the property market itself. That means you don't only can buy single apartments, you also can buy multifamily homes. And of course, you can diversify risk because you can buy different properties in different cities. You can buy tenanted apartment, vacant apartments, Altbau, Neubau. So different kind of properties, off plan, etc. So that gives you a big advantage as well, which you can spread your risk a little bit. So that would be the third question. I just responded here to a third question. Is basically, do I get better properties? Yes, you do get better properties because you have more equity, and you get more than one property, of course. Yeah. So what happens if I want to sell? Who's buying the shares of my company?
Well, it can be interesting for other investors to buy shares of a company holding properties because if you are under these 19% of shares you are buying, then you are not paying any transfer tax. So you can buy indirectly properties in Germany without paying the transfer tax. So that could be interesting for other investors as well.
Yeah. What are your fees, Mr. Shermoli, when it comes to setting up a company, managing the company, of course, or with your address? What do you charge?
Well, it's between 150 and 200 euros per month, and then we will take care of the entire communication. The GmbH can use our address, so it will be in CO address in Germany, and we will communicate with the client in English, so all the letters will be translated, there will be executive summaries, so the shareholders or the CEO, the responsible person, has always an idea what happens in Berlin with the GmbH.
Okay, how much do you usually charge when it comes to purchasing a property?
Well, normally the fee is between 3,000 and 4,000 euros plus VAT. If it's a GmbH that's already under our address, so we already have the communication, then of course this fee will be lower because it's already part of it is paid with these 200 euros per month.
Yeah. Okay. When it now comes to taxes, you work with tax advisors. So what's the difference? So let's put it this way. When I pay taxes and I have one apartment in Germany which I rent out, what is the usual tax account? How much will I pay on the accountant per year?
As a private person, for a normal tax declaration, the accountant takes between 150 to 250 euros, something like that.
Just a quick one. You only pay that small figure, compared small figure, if you have your records right and if all the papers are there. I think if the tax accountant or the lawyer going to chase for documents and invoices, going to, of course, cost you more. What do you pay for a company return?
Well, it will be a higher amount. Depends a bit on the GmbH and the assets in the GmbH. And of course, you have to publish the balance sheet, or at least a shortened balance sheet, and that costs you 30, 40 euros. So it will be a higher amount, but that's something we will take into account when we calculate if it makes sense to found a GmbH.
Okay. I have a question from an elderly person. I'm over 65 and I'm thinking of my children. How can I inherit a company?
It's the same way like properties. So there's no big difference between these two things. They're both in the same. Yes, the tax situation is the same, the legal situation is the same, so there's no big difference. The biggest difference is, and could be an advantage, especially for foreign investors, is that we do not have to change the land pages in the background, and that can be a very complicated process if the owner dies abroad and we have to get all the official papers to change the land pages. So that's easier with the GmbH, of course.
Okay, okay. So there are certain advantages when you have a company.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, okay. I think that's also a question you might want to ask in person and check where you're based, you know, what's the double taxation situation, you know, and what kind of interests your kids are having and all these things. I think that's also something before you set up the company and you decide who are the shareholders, you might want to check who are holding the shares in the first instance, yeah. So then we have another question. We are 3 friends and we want to invest into properties here in Germany, but we have no time to search, to build properties or to manage them. So what do you offer as a law firm, Mr. Chamouni?
Well, we can offer the entire founding process of the GmbH. We will discuss the contract between the shareholders. We will discuss the CEO contract. We will discuss possibly shareholder loans and the agreements. We will, of course, look at the purchase agreements. Yes, we can take care of every single step, and we will arrange the notary appointments. We will set up the POAs if necessary. So everything that's necessary, all the paperwork.
Okay. There's one part of that question which I just want to highlight. So especially when you're not local, it's difficult for you to search properties. I fully agree. However, you should definitely register yourself with different agents and check the internet and do some basic research on macroeconomics. And then, of course, the micro-location. So once you have found a property, or at least you think it's the right one, check the micro-location, what's happening there. So any agent, of course, we all want to sell properties to you, and the good agents, of course, will advise you properly and tell you which are the pros and cons on every location and every property. But we can't, you know, avoid the searching process for you. So that's something you still have to do. At least you have to question the agent, make sure that you're getting the right information. So there's a lot of data out there you can check on prices, on property prices, on especially when you observe the market for a few weeks or months, you will realize how quickly some markets are, how slow the others are, what properties are going fast, which don't, for what price. So that's something. It's not always written in the media. Something you just have to find out yourself by doing research and of course talk to people. Another question now on the purchase prices. I think every show we're doing here, a webinar, is about purchase prices. Everyone is asking this. Do you really think the prices are going up? Yes, we do. But please be aware, in Germany, you are there are very, very different areas in Germany. So there are areas which the prices are not going up at all, especially the rural areas in Germany where actually prices are going down. Prices are being stable, so that's a big one. And when you focus on the bigger cities here in Germany, and especially the suburbs, we definitely think prices will continue to rise. One big reason is because there is not enough property. We're not building enough, and the Germans are very, very slow in basically, granting planning permits, starting to build. The costs to build properties is very, very high, especially after Corona or during the Corona crisis. Many developers we're struggling to get the materials in, the cost of labor is high. So that means that the speed of the new builds is pretty slow, and we also have high regulation, which means a lot of investors and a lot of builders are not really happy to build at the moment. So I don't think prices will fall at all because there's simply not enough properties. If interests are rising, there are a lot of options for you to cover that as an investor when you have purchased a property, and so you can be a little bit safe when you already have a property. The new people, the new buyers out there who have to pay a higher interest, if interest will raise, that's a big question, and if so, will they raise at a significant amount? And so that's a big topic. then of course we see the prices under pressure. So if interest will go up, I don't think prices will go up as fast as they do just now. However, there are a lot of details you have to check, I think. Yeah, so we are more the conservative brokers, so we don't think the prices will go up forever, especially not in the same speed we had in the past decade. I remember clients buying properties from us 10 years ago, 7 years ago, for half the money or half the prices we have now. I don't think we're going to have 10-20% price increases year on year. I think at the moment we're looking at anything between 5 to 10 year on year, which is still a huge price increase, especially looking at the German economy and its growth. Yeah, then the next question we're having here is location. Yeah, I think a lot of people are asking us on which locations do you recommend. And again, that's something not for every investor the same location is good, or every location is the right one. We have different kind of investors out there. Some of them want to buy in the city center, some of them want to buy in the suburbs, some of them want to buy old apartments, some of them want to buy the beautiful Altbau refurbished, and the other one just want to buy off-plan properties. And you can make a case on every single investment. It always depends on your criteria as an investor and of course your background. I mean, how much equity you want to put in, what's the LTV ratio, what's the interest rates you are happy with, how much is the the investment in other countries in Europe or maybe elsewhere in Asia or the US. You know, do you get better interest rates, do you get better returns? So that's something you have to double check. And of course the Eurozone is such as an economic area is quite important for you to check as well when you do investments. Mr. Shermany, just a few last questions. When clients are contacting you, what are the typical questions they ask you? Are they already having a property, or they're just at the beginning of the search?
Well, of course, most clients are asking what is the rental situation, what are my rights, obligations, because everyone knows that, or at least every investor who checked the market situation in Germany knows how strong the legal situation of a tenant is. That as a landlord, of course, my rights are not so high that the tenant is. And that's, of course, the first questions. And of course, the questions are, can I trust the developers? Is my money safe? And I think that we have in Germany a very good and a very safe system for foreign investors, or for every investor, not only foreign. So, but that's of course the first questions, and yes, and then how the purchase process is going. What are the land pages? How is everything working? What does it mean when the transfer of ownership takes place? And yes, these things.
Okay.
And a few tax questions, of course.
Yeah, okay. Is there anything I haven't asked you today on the topic on setting up companies or co-investments? Is there anything you feel our clients should be aware of?
No, I think for a first overview, everything is said. I think every client should find persons they trust, because as a foreign investor, you do not speak the language, you have no idea of the legal system, and it's a complicated system, at least when we're talking about real estate law. So you should find person you really trust, because these person are responsible at the end of the day for your investment, and we are talking about a lot of money at the moment. So you should be sure about every step, and you should find the right person for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great last sentence. If you have no further questions here, I think we should I say thank you, Mr. Shermany.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching tonight. Please feel free to contact us on our website at blacklabelproperties.com. And we, of course, will find a link to Mr. Simon Shermany's law office here in Berlin, Germany. Thank you for watching tonight the 24th Berlin Real Estate Talk. Today the topic was setting up companies here in Berlin, Germany, buying properties via companies, and what are your advantages and, of course, your risks. Our expert today is the lawyer Mr. Simon Shermany. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
If you have further questions, please don't hesitate to contact the law office of Mr. Simon Shermany or contact us on our website at blacklabelproperties.com.